Hi, my name is Nella and we're back in the Diet Burble kitchen. Today we're going to look at making Yorkshire puddings. In front of me we have some basic ingredients. We have some whole eggs, I've got some olive oil decanted into a ramekin, I've got some measuring bowls, I've got some salt, I have some whole milk, I have a mixing bowl, I have a whisk, a pastry brush and some plain flour. I've got my muffin dish here ready to go and my oven's already on. I think it's preset to 220 degrees, but we'll cover that later on. So let's get cooking. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to prepare our batter. It's fairly straightforward. As I said in the intro, there's absolutely no measuring that you have to do. There's no weighing scales that you need for this. This is all going to be done on volume, so it's nice and easy. So I don't know at home if you have any kind of measuring spoons or for measuring bowls like these. This is basically what you want. A cup will do. There's a reason why the Americans love using cups, because it's just so straightforward. So for this particular recipe, I'm actually going to use a 1 cup measure. So it's fairly straightforward. So I've got my mixing bowl here. This is a mixing bowl / jug. It's going to come in really handy when we pour the batter into our tin later. I bought this a few years ago. I went to a pampered chef party and spent most of the time mucking around with my friend, and came home with this and a few knickknacks, and this has been so brilliant over the years to use. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure our dry ingredient in here. So I've just got ordinary plain flour. There's nothing fancy. It's not strong, it's not organic, nothing. It's just ordinary plain flour. So we'll just open it up. This could be a little bit messy. And we basically want equal ingredients, equal quantities I should say, of all the ingredients. Okay, so just grab a spoon. As I said, this was going to get messy. So you basically just want 1 cup of flour, and that goes straight in. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to have the eggs. Just crack them straight into the same container, and you just want as many as will fill the cup. It's as simple as that. Okay, so far it's 2, 3, 4. I think we might be pushing our luck if we add 1 more. So at the moment I have 4 eggs, and they're just going to go straight in. Okay, so the last main ingredient is going to be our milk. So again, we're just going to fill our container to the top and pour it in. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to add is just a pinch of salt. Okay, so now the hard work begins. So we want to create a smooth batter. There's nothing worse than a lumpy batter, but it doesn't take very long to produce a smooth batter. And we're going to do this in a couple of stages just to make it easier. And I've been doing this for a few years and this works for me. So this is what I'm going to recommend. So we're just going to beat this. Just go straight in with your whisk. Hold on. And just incorporate all of your ingredients together. And make sure you get into the corners. So you want to make sure you get all of your flour in. But I don't know if you can see, but I have got a very lumpy mess. And we just keep whisking it. So we're just going to whisk this for about a minute. And it's starting to come round. I don't know if you can see. As well as getting rid of the lumps, we're also getting some air into the mixture, and that's going to help this rise. Again, go into the corners and make sure that that you've got any dry bits of flour that are kind of lurking. And in a clear bowl, you can kind of see it's nice and easy to use. Okay, I'm just gonna whisk this for a little longer. And we are almost there. I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can. But we're gonna leave this now for about 5 minutes and we're gonna come back to it. We're just gonna let it rest and then we'll go at it again. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Right, back again. It's been about 5 minutes since we last whisked this mixture. It's just been sat resting on the work surface, and if you can see, there are a few air bubbles at the top of the bowl. It seems to be quite smooth, so we're just going to whisk it again. Again, we just want to try and get as many lumps out and get as much air in as possible. It's going to help it rise. I'd say it's almost done. It is quite smooth, but let's keep going. Right, okay, I'm just going to leave it for a few more minutes to rest. I've got a nice sort of foam on top. I've got nice air bubbles on top, so I'm going to give this a few more minutes just to sit and rest, and then we'll give it another beat. Okay, so it's been a few minutes since we last looked at the batter. It's looking like it's almost ready, so I'm just going to beat it just to make sure. You just want to get as much air into the batter as possible because that's going to help it rise. And we've also removed all the lumps, and we didn't need an electric whisk. If you do all this whisking by hand, this is really good preparation for arm day. So no need to get into your home gym. Okay, so I think that's ready. So I'm just going to leave that for a few minutes. I'm just going to move this out of the way whilst we just look at the baking tray itself. So I've just got an ordinary muffin tray here. There's nothing special about it. It's a muffin tray instead of a cupcake tray. It's silicone lined. And all I've done so far is I've got some just normal olive oil decanted into a ramekin to make it easy. And I've got my pastry brush. So we're just going to just lightly grease all of the cases here. We don't want it dripping in oil. We just want it enough just to coat the bottom so that the Yorkshire pudding doesn't stick. And this is the leanest way I know to make this recipe. I mean, I have seen Yorkshire pudding trays that are swimming with a few millimetres of oil, but we have nothing like that here. So I'm just going to pop this in my oven. I always use my little mitt because I'm really prone to burning myself. I'm a bit cack-handed. So this is going to go back into my oven now. So my oven was preheated to 220 degrees. I've got a fan assisted oven. We're going to leave that for about 5 minutes just to heat up. We want it lovely and hot, and that's going to really help the batter rise. So we'll be back in a few minutes once that's nice and hot. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes since the muffin tray went into the oven. I'm just going to take this out now and we're going to quickly pop in our batter. Now, the reason I say quickly is because I don't want to reduce the oven temperature too much or cool the tray too much. So it will be fairly quick, so bear with me. This is really hot, it's kind of smoky hot, so I'll sort of quickly pour in up to about half of a measure of batter. So we're going halfway up the muffin case, and it's sizzling as it goes in. There, okay, so we are done. I think I'm just going to top up this one. This one, it's already, I can feel by pouring it in that it's started to form a little crust on the base, so that's a really good sign. So I'm just going to quickly get these in the oven. Okay, so those have gone into the oven. As I said, the oven was preheated to about 220 degrees. It's a fan oven and it's in the top third of the oven. We're now going to leave that. We're not going to touch it. We're not going to open the oven. We're going to use the oven door to have a look through it, and we'll check it in about 10 minutes time. Okay, so it's not been 10 minutes. It's been about a minute since I put these in the oven, but I don't know if you can see. When I put these into the oven, I obviously splashed a little bit when I popped this in the oven, so I had a little bit of a leakage or an overspill, and that part's already started to rise, so that's a pretty good sign. So I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, we're not going to eat that bit, so we're going to check this again in about 9 minutes time. Okay, so the 10-minute buzzer's just gone, and the Yorkshire puddings have risen. They are quite large. So I'm quite happy with those. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the oven down to 200 degrees, and I'm going to give them another 5 minutes and I'm going to check them, but I haven't opened the oven. Try not to open the oven, because if they've not quite risen and sort of set, then they'll just be as flat as pancakes. So give this a few more minutes and then we'll see where we are. Okay, so it's about 20 minutes since we started cooking the Yorkshire puddings, and I think that they're ready, so let's have a quick look. So this is the first time that I've opened the oven. I have resisted temptation. I think that's why so many people have problems with the Yorkshire puddings, is because they open the oven during the cooking process. And just make sure they're... Yeah, so they've not stuck to the muffin case, so let's just move them over here. Just quickly turn the oven off. Okay, so you can see that they're cooked underneath and they have risen really well, so I'm really happy with those. So let's just recap. So we used plain flour. There was nothing special about the flour, it was just ordinary plain flour. We use eggs. It doesn't matter whether you take them out of the fridge straight away or not, it's entirely up to you. I've never had any issues either way. I used whole milk and I use a pinch of salt. This is the same batter recipe that I would use for toad in the hole, and I also use the same recipe for pancakes on pancake day, so it's quite a good one to know and have in your repertoire. I guess it takes about 20 minutes for these to cook, but again it just depends on how much batter you put in your muffin cases. And I hope you can see that they're really simple to make. You just have to resist the temptation of opening up the oven during the cooking process. So that's how to make Yorkshire puddings, and thank you very much for watching.